everybody? What's the status? What's going on? We're here with special guest star Steve Barnes.
Hey.
Steve, man, thanks for coming out, my man.
It's great to be here.
Yeah, man. So you were telling me about this. You wrote a book.
I did.
Yeah, tell me about it.
All right. It's called You Are the Great Creator of Your Life.
Okay.
I'm a life coach, a business coach, amongst a lot of other things that I do.
Yeah.
And I wanted to positively affect the world. I felt I had a book in me.
There you go.
And 14 months later, it came out.
That's not that long though to write a book. I mean, most people spend a good portion, like Stephen King and all them guys, that sit there for
Shawn Michael,
years.
I'm no Stephen King.
But to start it, I haven't written any books. So I mean, I thought about it, and then, but to write something, to actually sit down and do it, and follow through, and actually get it published, that's a feat. Don't sell yourself short on that part. I mean, because like I said, I haven't sold any books. I don't know how many people watching probably sold any books, made any books, written any books. So I mean, but let's talk about it. Like, what do you talk about inside of it?
Okay, the whole gist of it is to create your own life. That I think people feel that their lives are manipulated or they have things they're not in control of.
Yeah,
listen,
absolutely.
We all have things we need to overcome. We all have bumps in the road. I mean, some people have huge potholes.
Yeah.
And we still have to move along, right?
Yeah.
And it's a journey. It's not a destination. You never get there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's because what I find in life, and I see this, and I was talking about this yesterday with one of my nephews, is that when you go searching for something, more than likely you never find what you needed. But when something comes and finds you, it ends up being what you wanted, and then when something comes and finds you, it ends up being what you needed.
Aha!
It's when you least expect it, like my dog. I didn't want dogs. I didn't like him at first because he was all wild and crazy. But then I got him, and then everything changed. Wouldn't trade him for the world.
There you go.
So, I mean, it's like some things that you need is not exactly what you set out wanting.
Has your dog fulfilled you in a lot of ways?
Absolutely. He's made me a better person. I feel like he's made me more compassionate. He's made me feel more empathy towards, just like when you said, when you find a purpose in life, I think the purpose is to alleviate suffering to a certain degree. Not trying to save the world, pervert like you say, but to change it, like you were saying, like to make an impact by things you say, things you do. And just letting people know that you're not alone in the whole grand aspect of the things.
Absolutely. And to piggyback on your thought earlier, the Rolling Stones put it really well back in the 60s. If you try sometime,
you just might find you get what you need.
Exactly.
They had it. They
right.
had it right.
Yes.
And that's amazing because we sit here and we think we want more money. We want a better job. We want this. And then when we get it, we're just like, man, what the hell?
Right.
What am I doing?
Right.
Like I'm suffering 60, 70 hours a week. And then you come home and you're so tired, you're so drained from pretending. Some of us have to pretend when we go into the places of our work.
Right.
To keep up the appearances, as they say. You know, when you're working there, you see these people that come in, they don't want to do this, they're just talking, they just want the free status. And that's not really what to set out to. But yet we do our thing, we have to do it. But I believe that if we have the ability to pretend that everything is okay, then we should have the ability to make it right.
Right. Because the pretending is a Band-Aid.
Yes.
Okay?
Temporary Band-Aid.
It is. And, you know, what do they say? When you have a wound, just rip it off.
Yeah.
Because if we're going to suffer, and, you know, the word suffer may be a little bit overdone, okay? But when we're doing things and we're not realizing that we're putting up with burdens and things like that, we want to make things better, right?
Yeah.
You just yank the Band-Aid off. Let's find a solution. And in essence, that's what I was trying to do in my book. I had an epiphany about 6 years ago.
Okay.
And it's going to sound corny as hell, but I don't give a shit. I'm going to say it. All right?
Yeah.
I realized that at that point in my life, I wanted to positively affect others.
Okay.
And this is way before thinking about writing a book. It was way before becoming a life coach. But I was doing things in the business world where I was positively affecting others. And I'm thinking, how can I take this bigger? How can I reach more people? What can I do, to positively affect the lives of others? Because I look back and I've had the most amazing life.
Yeah?
Yo, hell yeah. Now, it's not always been smooth.
Yeah.
And it's not always been, exactly what I wanted. And like you were saying earlier, when I was trying and I was saying, I want, you're not getting it.
Mm-mm.
Because I wasn't focused on the right things. If you positively affect others, it comes back to you.
Yeah, full circle.
There's a big karmic relationship. People who don't believe in that, I think those are the ones who may be suffering the most.
Yeah, suffering is the key.
Right.
Is funny.
Yeah.
Because they're the pretenders. They're the ones that make believe everything is all right and everything is okay, and not accepting the problems for what it is. And at least when it's out in the open, you can come up with solutions. But when it's away, you're just oblivious, and then it just gets worse. It gets worse and worse.
Right.
And what they say, the saying is, when for evil to persist, good men must stand idly by. Mm-hmm. So it goes the same way. If you're gonna fix something, you can't just stand idly by.
No. You have to be involved.
Absolutely.
And if it's your own life,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, you really have to be actively involved.
Yeah.
And in essence, that's one of the things, that I cover in the book is the fact that you are the great creator of your life. Now, I'm not saying anybody usurps God.
Yes,
okay?
absolutely.
And I'm not going to get into a religious mode here.
Yeah.
All right? We're not going...
Yeah, we're not. We're staying on this fact.
But I believe, personally, there's a supreme being. There's a superior being to myself.
Yes.
I am not it.
Yeah.
Okay? The world doesn't revolve around me. Anyway... and that superior being, everybody finds them in different ways, in different manners, in different styles. And I think that's great. Okay?
Yeah.
But you have to ask for help. You have to put effort in. And a lot of the things I talk about in the book are people who've overcome. People who've had obstacles that the normal person would sit there and go, what the fuck? I can't overcome. What do I do? Right? Yeah. And they found ways. Right?
Yeah.
And that's cool. It really is. It's there. It's there. I believe in human beings. I believe in humanity. I believe in the goodness of people. Are there evil people out there? Hell yes.
There is.
There are. Right? You said those are the ones, right?
They're pretending. They're the pretenders.
Yes.
Yeah.
And those are the ones where we're standing idly by, and they're running their gig, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Hitler wouldn't happen if a lot of people didn't stand idly by. A lot of evil wouldn't have happened if people would sit there and go, hey.
Yeah. Until it got worse and got bad enough to where someone had to act.
Right. Now, I've never lived anywhere aside from the United States. Have you?
I've lived actually in Trinidad before.
Okay.
And but not like a permanent type of thing. I was young, so I don't really remember too much. But yeah, I've United States probably most.
Okay.
Lived in area.
Here's why I bring it up. Okay, in the United States, currently there's a lot of attitude of, well, life's pretty good for me, and so they overlook the evil shit that's going on. They overlook because it's kind of like blinders, right? You go to the racetrack, you see the horse with blinders. They don't want him to see any other horses. Do your business, go straight ahead. And so there's a lot of people, I believe, and again, my only point of reference is the United States.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit there and pretend there's not evil going on everywhere in the world. I don't know it. I read about it.
Yeah.
I see it. I hear about it, but my point of reference is in the United States. There's a lot of people who are content with their existence, and so they don't put the effort in to help others.
Yeah, I agree with that, because when you're comfortable, when your belly is fed, you're oblivious to the status, and that's when they keep.
Things are cool by me. Yeah.
I've seen this commercial where they're pumping their head. It wasn't a commercial; it was a show, and You ever watch Supernatural?
No.
Okay, well, it's a show about like demons, angels, things like that.
Yeah.
And these brothers, they hunt them. And what happened in one of the seasons is there was these creatures that were trying to take over and usurp the world. And the way they did it was through fast food and through television and stuff. And what they did was to make the people docile. They were eating the food and they were just so status that grandma had actually died right next to them for days. And they didn't care. They were still watching their TV and they were just eating their food.
Wow.
And it was the type of thing to make you see, well, as long as we're okay,
Yeah.
the hell with everything else.
Wow.
It just made me think about that when you were saying that. That's because it is kind of like where we are. We have our phones.
Yes.
So we just sit here, like, people don't conversate.
No.
The people just sitting there, yeah, okay, yeah. So what did you say? You know, like, oh, well, let's take a picture or something and take a selfie, and then people are just unconnected. We're so connected. Like, I could call you, talk, even though you're in New Jersey, wherever you may be.
Right.
But yet, there's no connections in terms of other people when they try to do that.
I think that's kind of sad.
It
I
is.
really do. And I'm concerned, maybe that's overkill. There's a thought process going forward that if people don't communicate and there's not that conversation and there's not that engagement, okay, really in essence, there's one thing that matters in life to me. Here's my opinion. Okay? Relationships. That's what matters, okay? You can't positively affect another person's life without having some form of a relationship,
Absolutely.
okay? And so when people are so deep in their phones and so deep in social media, and I'm not shitting on social media,
Absolutely.
it's here. It's here to stay. It's here to stay forever.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to be writing a blog soon. And with social media, that's the only way it's getting out.
Exactly.
Okay, so I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is when people use social media to disconnect,
Yeah.
all right? And so, like, their whole message is me, 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 me. Here I am eating a tuna sandwich.
Yes.
Okay, like you're the first fucking person to ever eat a tuna sandwich. It's just not that relevant to the rest of the world, in my opinion. Let's take a selfie.
Yeah.
All right? Now, I'm going to sound like an old fart, and I'm never one to ever say things were better in my day. I don't believe in that. Things weren't better in my day. They weren't worse. They were different.
Yes.
Okay? There's better things now. There's better things then. Now, people had more of an interpersonal relationship back then because you had to.
Yeah. There
Okay.
was no disappearing. There's like, hello,
No.
neighbor. The milkman came. I'm not saying that time. I'm just saying like times from then, from up to like 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. I think 80s is when it really started to change because they had the briefcase phones, everything else.
Right.
And then that's when technology really started to get introduced.
Huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
So,
What do they say? That technology now like triples every 2 years, or there's some absurd statistic.
Well, 30 years, the military always has technology 30 years prior before it's released to the public.
Okay.
And they do that for research development. Most of the stuff, anytime, through times of war, is when the most industrious technological advancements come about. That's why we're always constantly in war. And this is why we always constantly have just so much the best status. I mean,
You mean we're not just protecting the world?
we can say that, but in the essence of what I see and what we know, like I said, I don't live across the world, just like you said, but we see it, we read about it, we hear about it, and it's there, and there has to be a reason it's there. And to say that, it's just a problem, that's it. But you got to realize, where did you get to have it to become a problem?
Yes.
Yes. What happened? The steps that took place to get where you are.
Cause and effect.
Cause and effect. Just like you're saying, the journey that you travel, you might not get there, but it's along the path, what happened for you not to get there or to get there. Mm-hmm. Something happens in order to propel you in the direction you need or to propel you in the direction you don't need.
No doubt.
And so when we look at that, what happened? It's because... Maybe it's because of war. Maybe it's just because of money. Maybe it's because of both. And both make both. You can't have one without the other.
Yeah.
And so it's really just a crap. She used to be just to battle for land or to have a war over food or, even Helen of Troy, they were battling over a woman.
Uh-huh.
And now we're battling over resources, battling over this, battling because I don't like who you are. I don't like what religion you are. I don't like the color of your skin. I don't like that you like this, or I don't like that you want to become someone that's something different from what you are.
Yes.
No acceptance. And yet we, at least generation that's so concerned about it, is the generation that grew up with not people who were they were not they were vulgar, not vulgar, but you remember watching Married with Children?
Yeah.
Hey, imagine watching something like that on TV today.
Right.
They wouldn't have that shit.
Right. And prior to that, you had Archie Bunker.
Yes.
You had Sanford and Son.
Absolutely.
And the reason they did Sanford and Son was to show that there's black bigots too.
Yeah.
Okay? All right. And you know what? I love those shows.
Absolutely.
Because they were real.
Yes.
They were real.
They were real.
And Archie Bunker was just a raging fucking bigot, but he was saying things back in the 70s,
yeah.
right?
Everybody was thinking.
People thought were true.
Yeah.
People still think they're true, but there's the blinders again.
They just they eat it. They like it. It's whatever.
Right. And you know what you were saying about intolerance and indifference, that's what's propelling me to write this blog that I'm going to be starting, in the next week or two.
Okay, we'll put that in there then too.
Okay. And the whole point is this, is that people need to understand that their opinions are not facts. Okay? We live in a world now where people will broadcast an opinion and then demand that their friends on social media accept it as fact. It's not.
Yeah.
Okay? It's an opinion. And everybody's entitled to opinions.
Absolutely.
You're entitled to it, no matter how ridiculous it is. I absolutely deplore white supremacists. If entitled to their opinion.
Yeah.
Okay? Does that sound crazy?
Not really, because people, like you say, if you want someone to treat you the way you treat others, until they treat you different, then treat them the same as they treated you.
Right. There has to be the mutual respect. There has to be the understanding.
Absolutely.
There has to be, listen, man, I don't agree with you.
Yeah.
But can we still find a common ground?
Yeah.
But we never, I can't say we never. I hate the words never or always. They're too extreme.
Yeah.
Seldom do we allow people to have that leeway. I'll give you a great example. A few years ago, I had a friend. We were roommates back in the 80s, okay?
Yeah.
We were tight. And, we've stayed friends over the years. I've been very blessed. I've had a lot of friends that I've stayed friends with for 50, 40, 30 years. Long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And anyway, so this guy went in a totally different direction politically. It doesn't matter which direction or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But he became real extreme.
Okay.
So we're having these conversations, and he's trying to win me over. I go, man, I'm not seeing it. Man, I'm not feeling it. Man, I don't agree with you. And he goes, well, I don't know if we can be friends anymore. And I said to him, wait a second.
Yeah.
We've been friends over 30 years. Can we agree to disagree on this area?
Yeah.
In other words, I don't want to throw our entire friendship in the shitter just because we have one disagreement.
Absolutely.
Okay? And so there was a long pause on the phone. And he goes, yeah, I guess so. I said, okay, because I value your friendship.
Yeah.
Okay? And I don't agree with you, and I don't think no matter how long you try to win me over, it's going to change.
Yeah.
I don't think that we're going to have that meeting with it. So do we have to allow this to be the pothole in the road where it comes to an end? He goes, no, not really. And so that was kind of a nice thing right there.
Yeah.
We're still friends. We have conversations about all kinds of things. If he gets into political, I go, man, I don't quite follow you there. I'm not feeling it. Right?
Yeah.
And we're okay.
Yeah. I understand that because friendships, especially for that long, you guys butt heads, you do this, that. It shouldn't be, if you've gone that long, then if you're willing to throw it away just that fast, then is it really... That's what they probably want, but that's not what they need.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So it goes to that. It goes back to you put the blinders on.
Yeah.
And because they're comfortable, they're doing their stuff, and you're going against the grain from what is comfortable for them or what is acceptable for them
Right.
makes it uneasy. And people, that's what I was saying with the conservatives, is that people are so concerned now, and it's because we're so sensitive.
Right.
But times before, they weren't that sensitive. I mean, I think about from like the 40s and the 50s, where even wearing dresses and things wasn't, ooh, the people were like, oh, we don't want to see skin or nothing. And now, what we see with people walking around almost half naked.
Right.
And or some of them are naked. They paint on clothes now. I've seen that before. A woman painted on jeans, and she went walking through the mall naked. And people were just like, oh man, but nobody knew the difference, because they do make jeans like that are so skin tight you wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
Did she paint on a place to put her cell phone?
She actually had a cell phone painted on there. Yeah, she was walking around with the cell phone painted on. It was ridiculous.
Well, you know what? Live and let live.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I just say,
is it against the norm? Yeah. Okay. I don't know. I think people should have the right to make their own decisions, but here's where the line gets blurry, is when they foist their decisions and they say, you got to accept me.
Absolutely.
People don't have to.
No.
Okay? And that's, again, the right to having an opinion. You don't have to be accepting. You don't have to say, yes, I agree. But you have to say, okay, that's your thing, have at it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, there's no need for... If you're not hurting directly or indirectly anybody, anything, then I believe, especially yourself, if you're not hurting yourself with the mode of thinking that you're doing, then I think we have no right. I have no right to tell you what to do or how not to do it, just the same way as you have no right to tell me what to do or how to do it.
Now, can you have a civil conversation?
Absolutely. You should
Can you
be able
say,
to.
hey, man, I'm not quite understanding where you're coming from on this. Can you enlighten me?
Yeah.
Right? And then if you reach that point of, okay, let's agree to disagree. Okay.
You won.
Well, everybody won.
Yeah,
everybody won. That's the beauty of it.
When nothing negative came out of it, but something positive managed to grow,
right?
Then that's perfect. I equate it to like when you're growing a garden. You garden?
No.
Oh, you ever garden before?
My wife has one.
Okay. Well, it's when she does that, when you put in what is mixed in to make the garden grow, it's literal. It's fertilizer. What is fertilizer?
It's
shit.
Yeah.
So when you take shit to grow something beautiful, like a flower or make food, life-giving essence, it makes you wonder.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes you really wonder, what is it? Is this shit really necessary for us in order for us to grow positively? And then maybe that's why there's the negativity.
That's good stuff.
Yeah. And it's like, so when you have that, people disagreeing, and they don't go to war over it, but then they solve it right then and there, and they keep on going the path.
Right.
I don't equate that to the same thing that we were saying earlier about blinders or anything, because you actually talked about the subject and fixed it. You didn't put a Band-Aid on it and say, fuck it, we'll deal about that later.
Right.
Or cross that bridge when it comes up again. No, you fixed the bridge, you painted it, you made it nice, and then you're good to go.
Yeah.
For however long more you have until you have to repaint it and make it look nice again.
Right.
But keep the bridge going so that way the connection is there.
Yeah. And that's what I see going forward is, are we going to still have that human interaction? In other words, if people are more enraptured in themselves, how do you open those lines of communication? In other words, is this going to become more... Is the problem going to escalate going forward? Is there going to be less and less and less communication?
Possibility.
It's possible. And again, I don't know. But without having the ability to understand others, you don't have to agree. You have to understand. You have to acknowledge. You have to say, okay, I dig it. It's cool, right? See, because without that, we're not stretching our minds. And a mind that's stretched doesn't return to the previous shape. It stays stretched. And if we continue to stretch our minds, right?
Yeah.
Even with things we don't exactly agree with, stretch our minds, stretch the possibilities, stretch the understanding of others where you never did before.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's the mind is not like a rubber band. It's not going to return back to its natural state unless something traumatic or something happens that causes it to shrivel.
Right.
And when I say shrivel, like say like you were talking about relationships. Say you've been hurt or something like happened in a relationship, and then you're just like, oh fuck that, I'm not trying to deal with that anymore.
Yeah.
So you shut it off, and then you become bitter. There's a cause and effect that happens.
Right.
I think even Yoda from Star Wars, he said it best. He says, fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, and hate leads to suffering.
Ooh.
And
that's why he was Yoda.
Yeah, he said that. And
I'm no Yoda.
I mean, when it comes time with wisdom and being able to convey that wisdom,
yeah,
that is what it means to be a Yoda in terms of, because I mean, yeah, he was 900 some years old, but he had wisdom that he had gained over that period of time, and it wasn't all about, he was the most powerful person on that council, but he didn't always show that power. He spoke through words and wisdom, and then that's what caused other people to be moved, not because of the way how powerful he was,
right,
but because of how right in the mindset and how he was with his convey of the words.
Nice.
And I think that's where it's all about, because if people can hear you all day, but if you don't convey the right message to them in a way that they can understand,
right,
it's just going to be falling on deaf ears.
Well, they're hearing you, but they're not listening.
Absolutely. Or they're listening, but they just don't care.
Right.
And because sorry, I hear it, listened, it's whatever, but it doesn't convey, it doesn't go with what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So therefore, it's not a constant, it's not a absolute, not a always or a never.
Right. I like that. And it's interesting. Another thing with the fact of where we are technologically.
Yeah.
We got more information than ever.
Absolutely.
You want to know something, you Google it, and you know it in 2 seconds.
Absolutely.
If you Google it and you don't get an answer right away, you get frustrated.
Yeah.
That's how we are right now.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But if you have that information right away, just like that. My concern is this. Yoda had 900 years of knowledge, which became wisdom.
Yeah.
All right? And we have information now, but are we converting the information into knowledge and the knowledge into wisdom?
I don't think so, because like you're saying, we have so much access to technology, but yet I can count so many people that are just, how do you walk around with $1,000 cell phone, and yet you're one of the dumbest people that I've ever met. You're one of the most oblivious people to things that I've never, but you can tell me everything that happened on Facebook, or you can tell me everything that happened on Jersey Shore, or
right,
or I know that's like one of the older ones, but I don't know. I don't follow like Kardashians, or when you put, that's the same thing I was talking about, eating the fast food, watching the show, Grandma's Dead. That's what they're doing, and I don't see, even if you have access to this technology, we can look up anything on here. The show wouldn't be what it is if I couldn't use Google.
Right.
If I couldn't do that.
Well, and I'm not negating
I'm
the
not
beauty
either.
of the information we can gather immediately. That's phenomenal.
It is. Used properly.
Right.
When used properly. But now I remember when I was in school, we had to go to the library.
Right.
We had to go research.
Mm-hmm.
We had to go, because that was the only place to really go.
Right.
And then the library started getting computers, and then they started getting laptops in school, and then we could look everything up in there. And then before long, everybody had smartphones. Exactly. And now they make the kids use smartphones, and sometimes they just take them away from them because they're on it all the damn time. But a lot of things get exposed now because we have technology. So we get to see it more frequently, things that we wouldn't only hear about in newspapers or in the local newspaper.
Right,
not the papers in the world. Yeah.
Right.
So you don't really know about it, but now that we have the technology, we can see these things going on, and we hear about it more prevalently, but it's always been there.
Yeah.
But because we had these, and we didn't want to expand our minds outwards to see what's out there. It hinders us in a way.
So, in essence, there's my question. Do we build generations going forward where people crave knowledge, not just information, and crave to be wise, crave wisdom? Is that vanishing? I don't know. But I mean, to me, the Yodas of the world are pretty damn important,
yeah,
right?
They are.
And yeah, I wrote a book. I hardly consider myself to be a wise man by any stretch. But are we creating that desire? Okay? Now, people love to say it's up to the schools. I say bullshit. It's up to the parents.
Yes.
Okay? You know, you want to, you know, people who sit there and say you're not raising my child right to the teacher.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
You're not doing your job right.
Exactly.
And so our parents creating the desire to have children that are wise, that are full of knowledge, that can grow into being a knowledgeable human being where there can be resources for others. Because let's face it, Yoda without others is nothing.
Yes.
Right?
Community is everything, but
exactly.
The one thing that parents need to teach the kids is respect.
Yes.
Because without respect and without honor, then your knowledge and your wisdom, it goes into the wrong hands.
They all fall together.
Yeah,
definitely they do.
And I think that's the thing that we lack now is that they don't enforce it, they don't encourage it, and then when they drop them off, they wonder, well, the kid's going to act, or sometimes the parents are the examples that they give to their children.
Yeah.
When I was going to school, I never used to act. I tried not to act up or act a fool. I'd be like, oh man, I don't want to get in trouble, don't want to do this. And there's those other kids that, well, mom's always yelling and shit, or mom never says nothing to me, dad never does anything. If they try to discipline me or anything, I'm gonna call the cops, or I'm gonna do this. And I don't remember. I never used to say some shit like that.
No.
Yeah, you say something like that, you wake up a couple days later, like, oh man, maybe that was a bad decision. Yeah, maybe that was a bad decision.
Wake up a couple days later.
Yeah, like you know better now. The oven is hot. Don't go touch it. And,
love it.
Yeah, because I mean that's the truth. We don't see that. I'm not saying it needs to be seen, but it is necessary.
Sure,
it is necessary.
Because if you can't respect others, then you can't take into account their opinions. You can't stretch the mind,
and you can't build a relationship.
You can't.
A healthy one, at least.
Well, yeah, I mean,
you can build a negative relationship.
You can, you know, and just act domineering or act, like you're being dominated, and who needs that shit? Yeah. There's got to be that mutual respect.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think if that's not there, then what do we have?
Exactly. You mentioned that you had to go to the library. I'm the generation prior to that. Here's what I got, okay? My dad would tell me, I bought you those fucking World Book encyclopedias. No! Go look it up.
That's funny. That was...
Now, you would have a set of World Book encyclopedias for 20 to 25 years.
Yeah.
So the information in there could be 25 years old.
Redacted. Updated.
Not then.
Yeah.
It was in the book. Right.
Yeah, I'm saying, but like the facts then changed so much, or been corrected or whatever. So I understand what you're saying. There's no, you may have known something, and it's just like when they're talking about. They used to think world is flat, and then all of a sudden they know the world is round, and then now people nowadays with access to technology and stuff, the world's flat again. And I stop and think, well, they don't have any proof as to where, but you stop and you look, and if that's the case, then that means everything that we know about outer space is false.
Uh-huh.
And if that's the case, that's the greatest lie ever fucking told.
Oh.
Because, if you've hidden the world is flat, then that means you had to come up with, why is Jupiter round? Why is the moon round? Mm-hmm. And why is everything else round? Unless it's just literally a piece of paper flatted on the status.
Whoop, whoop,
yeah,
whoop,
you can literally just do like this and look around. And then to me, that seems asinine. But at the same time, I've never been into space. I've never seen it.
Right.
But I've studied a lot about it. I love space. I love science. I love all this stuff. And it interests me. And I want to get that knowledge. And I think that a collective of knowledge, what do they say? G.I. Joe, not knowing is half the battle.
Yeah.
And MacGyver would have never been able to get out of some of the situations if he didn't fucking know that, if you use chocolate on hydrochloric acid, it gums up and it could actually stop a leak.
There you go.
Yeah, because he knew there was something in the chocolate and then did it. If you didn't know,
right,
then how are you going to fix?
Right. Infinite possibilities.
Absolutely.
Okay? And I think, that's one of the things I want to convey in my book is the fact that we all have infinite possibilities. But if you don't have your mind stretched enough to think right?
Yeah.
There's possibilities instead of just thinking of all the detriments, all the negatives, everything that's going wrong in your life, everything that's not in your favor. And what that creates when you're thinking in those terms, it creates a mentality of the world's against me. Okay? I don't stand a chance. Everybody's against me. When people use absolutes like everybody or always or never.
Or they. Them.
You know how many theys and thems have fucked over the world over the course of time?
I've used that before plenty of time.
And there ain't no they or them.
No.
Now, you may have individuals that you're butting heads with.
Yes.
You may have situations that are difficult. But there's always an opportunity, if nothing more, to circumvent it. Okay? You may not be able to solve everything. You may not be able to change everything directly in your favor. But there's options and there's ways to go about it. Absolutely. And it's just finding them and keeping your mind opened and keeping the possibilities available to do that. That's what's cool. That's what creates hope.
Yeah.
That's what creates faith. That's what creates the mindset of solution-oriented compared to, I got nowhere to go. I'm screwed.
There's nothing left. I could agree with that because at one point in my life, I was at that point when it was a lot of stuff stacking up against me, and I felt like, oh man, they are doing this, or this is the cause of why I suffer, or this is the reason why. And the fact is, the mindset that I had going forth with that was perpetuating me along that path. Yes. And I had to learn that these people, those people, them, everybody wasn't responsible for who I was. Wasn't responsible for how I should feel. They can impact it. And then that in turns, I give myself into them. I am no longer a free-thinking individual. I am no longer who I am supposed to be.
Right.
I am going with what they want, not what I want. And
right.
He's sitting there trying to... sorry about that.
That's okay. He's a good boy.
He just wants a little bit of attention, saying what's up. He sees us talking. He doesn't like it. He's like, I want to talk too.
I want to talk too.
So, but they see that, and you have to take your mind out of that. And you have to believe that you are something, no matter what it may be.
Right.
And believe that. That's why I think that Mickey, my dog, he helped me understand that, because as you're saying, relationships and that's a relationship right there that I've learned so much from.
Right.
And the reason being is because it's an unconditional relationship. There is nothing that I wouldn't do for him, and I know if he had the power to do it, there is nothing that he wouldn't do for me.
Yeah, his whole purpose in his mind is to make Shawn Michael happy.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, and my purpose is to make sure that he stays alive long enough, and that he is as comfortable and as happy as he possibly could be with the best things. I cook for him. I anything that he needs. If I give him the power to have it, make it happen, I make it happen.
There you go.
And I think that right there is the thing that taught me that, it's not about what, because he's putting out love. He's putting out this. And even if I had a bad day, I would come home and he would know, and he would try to comfort. And then I realized that, when you want to stop suffering, even if you're suffering yourself, you show love, you show compassion. And I think that's what will help bring us around. But we have no love, we have no compassion. And I noticed this the other day. I seen compassionlessness. There was a kitten. I saved a kitten from it was underneath the cart corral.
Okay.
And one of the people was saying that he's going to die out in the wild anyway, this and that. Why are you wasting your time? And this is one of the people of power that we have to look up to if in case of emergencies or in case of something happens.
Right.
This is the person I have to go to and say, what do you need us to do?
Right.
But yet, in this situation, I saw no compassion. I saw no action. I saw a bunch of ideas. Yeah. I heard a bunch of ideas, but no action. And that's the thing that caused, because I've seen it before. I've seen it multiple times. And that's when I used to say, oh, they, this and that, and this and that. But I realized is that if they're not going to do anything about it, I have the power to do something about it.
Yeah, you do. You do.
So I did something about it.
Okay.
And the kitten's sitting right over there inside that little cage right there. He's quarantined away from Mickey right now because he's still, I got to get him quarantined and everything just to make sure everything's straight. took him to the vet the next day. My sister, she works with the veterinarian, so it was put in the plan. I looked at it like, man, if I didn't have somebody that I could have called, the information, my sister, she knew everything about what to do, how to do it, and I got it taken care of.
That's why you were put in the position.
That's what I believed at that moment.
Exactly.
Because any other moment, I wouldn't have been there at that time.
Right.
And I thought about not even showing up that day.
So you needed to show up
exactly. And I think about that because it's the compassion and it teaches me more compassion. It teaches me more compassion to be, well, like I didn't want it. Just like Mickey. I didn't want Mickey. I didn't want to take care of him. My sister, she was moving. She couldn't take care of him at that point in time. I didn't want to separate him from the kids, so I said, hold on to him. That was 8 years ago.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
I do.
So I think that I'm not saying that that's for everybody, but I think for me, having him and having the understanding of the relationship that we have teaches me how I should treat other people.
Absolutely.
And that's what they said with the shepherd and his flock.
And
they always talked about that in the Bible, everything, even far back. The shepherd and his flock. The shepherd would always protect the flock, and the flock in turn would protect him.
Exactly.
Because they showed him how to be a person. They showed him how to love. Showed him how, if you can show that and you can receive that and it be genuine, then
it is genuine because it's unconditional.
Exactly.
Okay? When people go into any relationship, okay, and there's conditional love. If I do this for you, you got to do this for me.
Absolutely.
All right? Or you treat any relationship like a ledger sheet. And you're keeping track. You're keeping score in your head. I did this for you.
Yeah.
I did this for you. I did this. You need to do this for me.
Yeah.
It's not that way.
It's not.
Now, people talk about relationships being 50-50. People talk about relationships. I'm talking a romantic relationship, a love relationship. It's not. Some days it's 60-40. Some days it's 80-10.
Yeah.
And you can't sit there and go, hey, fuck this. I'm giving 80 today and you're only giving 20, so this isn't worth it. See ya.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, if it's always 80-20, you got something to figure out there.
Absolutely.
But there has to be that flexibility where sometimes you're giving more, sometimes you're taking more. And you're not taking more out of greed. You're taking more because it's unconditional love offered to you.
Yes.
Okay? And when relationships have that flexibility, they work well.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And when they don't, when you're sitting there going, hey man, wait a second, I did this and this and this and this for you. You owe me.
Yeah.
You know what? Even if you're deeply in love with someone, no one really truly owes you anything.
No.
What you get is what you get.
Yeah.
And before you were talking about the flat earth.
Yeah.
Another thing I kind of like are conspiracy theories.
Yeah, I love conspiracy theories.
I think they're great.
Yeah.
I really do. Because it opens up your mind.
Exactly. It allows you to think. And it is just talking about if space and stuff isn't real, then that means what the hell?
Right.
Why 60, 70 years? Even if you want to go back to Aristotle, or not Aristotle, telescope, Galileo.
Yeah.
If you want to go back to Galileo, then what the fuck was he doing?
Right.
And what the hell? And then you go back to Aztec. You go further to Egyptians and everybody else who's written star constellations.
Right.
How the hell did they know? They built pyramids in correlations with the Orion Belt. And it's like, okay, if they weren't smart people, if they were fucking using stones and shit, then I think it's because they were more connected. They didn't have technology. They didn't have, well, that's my neighbor over there. I don't need him. But no, that's the guy that's hunting the food. Or that's the person that knows that the doctor. That's the local shaman. Or that's the person that knows this. So the village stayed together.
Right.
And they worked off each other.
Yes.
Everybody didn't have to carry the load of everything. That's what we were talking about, the kids. It's the parents' responsibility, yes. But you remember what they say is it took a village to raise a child.
Right.
And along the time, I remember when my parents were talking about when they used to grow up and stuff, the whole people, like on the streets that they lived on, everybody took care of everybody. The thing was food. If food was scarce or something, they would cook a big, if anybody had more than usual, they'd cook a big pot of food and they'd call everybody over and they would eat. You don't see that here, no. You don't see that here. If anything, they'll go buy a platter or something from Sting, and they'll put it out there and be like, yeah, whatever. Well, and it's not really. It's like don't. If you're, I seen this sign on a Little Caesars where it said, "To the person digging through our trash can for food, please come inside and we'll hook you up with a slice or two because you are a human being.
Beautiful.
You are a human being and you do not deserve that.
Right.
That was compassion.
Yes.
And that's something that we're going back, we don't see that. And then in order to get that, we have to change our mode of thinking.
Definitely. Now, it's kind of interesting, the whole flat earth thing.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're talking about centuries.
Yes.
Of wisdom and knowledge where, I mean, way before there was any internet or any way to Google anything, or even way before 50 years ago next month, man landed on the moon.
Yes.
A lot of people still think that's bullshit.
Yeah.
But whatever. The question to me is, how in the world could we have such a regression where people truly believe that the earth is flat now? Okay? And again, that's their opinion. Right?
Yeah.
And I may have that conversation. I've never truly met one, a flat earthian.
Yeah.
If I did, I'd like to have a conversation and go, all right, let's back this up with a little facts, information, and data here.
Yeah.
You know. But that's what's kind of fascinating nowadays is the fact that you can have all that information and yet people can still have such a regressive mindset. They can have such a backwards, to me.
Yeah.
Backwards
I agree with you.
mindset where you sit there and go, oh no, centuries of bullshit. I know I'm right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the thing about that is, even if it goes on long enough and the person propagates it long enough, even a sensible person, intelligent person, will then start to question it if it's around them all the time. Because I even was like, when someone said moon landing, this, and I was like, fuck that shit. That's not, it can't be, because that means everything else is fake.
Right.
But then they start saying, oh, well, the Van Allen belt. Oh, that's all right, and stuff falling.
Whoop.
The Van Allen belt is too hot for space shuttles to go in. And then I started thinking, I was like, man, if that's the case, because that's new information I didn't know.
Uh-huh.
And then I was like, man, I think that's just reaching, though, because there's mica on the bottom of the space shuttles. Those absorb heat. That's the same thing that's in your microwave. It's the glass that you see through. It doesn't heat up or nothing. It's mica. It absorbs heat. And then the mica was on laced on this place in Teotihuacan. If you want to talk about conspiracies, you familiar with like the ancient astronaut theory, where they talk about that people from the past were visited by either extraterrestrials, or I think there's another way you could look at it, is it could be us from the future or from other dimensions or whatever the case may be. But they came back, they gave them the information, they gave them the technology, they showed them, they tried to teach them. That's why every culture around the world, every culture in the world has actually built pyramids. The Egyptians built pyramids, the Mayans built pyramids, and that's in South America. And they built one of their pyramids in the same place I was talking about, Teotihuacan.
Okay.
Their main sun pyramid is the exact it is 750 feet by 2 pi.
Okay.
And the one in Egypt is 750 feet, the base, and 4 pi.
Wow.
And the ones in China, they are trespassing. They're no-fly zones, nothing like that.
Right.
But they're all covered with foliage. They didn't cut it, nothing. But there are pyramids in China. There are pyramids in New Mexico.
Okay.
And then you're like, but they're all building them the same way. Now, unless this person got on a boat and traveled, God knows how, before Magellan and anybody mapped out the planet,
right?
You telling me these people spread knowledge just like that, the exact same way, and they were connected, or was it someone was spreading this knowledge in a means to do something? And then that's what they were talking about with the ancient astronaut theory, is that extra or some other being came and helped us along the way, and that's where our story is.
I'm thoroughly open to that.
Yeah,
I am so open to that.
It makes sense when you stop and think about it to a certain degree. You don't want to sound like a crackpot, but at the same time, it's like, why? I don't see us building no pyramids. We can't replicate it.
Are you kidding?
Yeah. They're some of our best people.
Here, I'll build it CGI.
Yeah,
everything's CGI now.
3D print it. You probably could just 3D print it.
You probably could.
And that's probably what they
get the big ass 3D printer of all time and make yourself a pyramid in about 45 minutes.
Yep.
That'd
be crazy.
They used to take like a decade to make a pyramid, wasn't it? Something like that. I mean, it was a long time.
It was pharaohs that went through power.
Right.
Now, granted, people only lived maybe 30, 45 years tops.
Right.
Before medical science or whatever. But they had medical science back then, but not no X-ray machines or nothing like we have now.
Right.
And but they lived so there was like several pharaohs that went through the building processes of the pyramids of Giza. So you're talking about maybe 200 years probably, give or take.
Wow.
More than that, but we don't know. Some say it was erected right then and there, and within no time, because they had like 600,000. They had people, the Jews. They had them building. The slave. It was a slave labor.
Right.
But even then, you're talking about 20, 30 tons worth of rock, and the rock is like as big as that. How many people can you put hands? How many people can put hands on something like that and physically move?
They were using levers and all kinds of things.
All kinds of stuff that we probably don't even. Some of the stuff that you see them do it with, it's like. But then again, they had nothing but time.
Right.
They weren't convoluted with, I'm busy. Like everybody says, we're so busy nowadays. We're so busy. We got this and that. You're not really doing anything. You make, like I said, 60, 70 hours, but you're through working your stuff, but you're not really doing anything. You're making money to go and buy shit that you don't really need. You're trying to keep up with this person across there. Like, oh man, this person has this and this. And I'm pretty sure he could tell you about all the stuff that people come in, try to buy, TVs, $20,000, $30,000 television sets.
Yeah.
Like, do you really watch TV that much?
How much different is a $20,000 TV than a $1,000 one? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, physically, you can, when you're sitting there looking at them side by side, you can tell the difference. But guess what? I don't have them side by side in my house.
No.
And my eyes, we see 3D already. We can see, depending on your eyesight, you can see 10. You can see it. So when you're looking at the television, I'll just look at it as a reference. And yeah, sometimes it can. I've noticed, like on that screen over there, because of the frame rate, everything's perfect. It does do a little bit better on the eyes if you're doing extended viewing things, but shouldn't really be sitting in front of a television. I wasted a lot of my time doing that. I used to watch TV shows and binge, and like people do Netflix and stuff. And I realized when you do that, you take your mindset out of fucking reality.
Yeah.
And you're embedded in the show. So
right.
You think that the way the rules and the rules of engagement and the way the show works can be brought in and put into your world. You're
actually a part of it.
Yes. And that could be dangerous.
Oh, yeah.
And I think, because I noticed, like, man, I was seeing some stuff that was going on, and it reminded me of this, or it reminded me. It's okay to have a point of reference, but when it starts being like, this is that, this is them, they are the ones like that.
Them and they. Them and they.
Everyone is like the way that I saw on that.
Yeah.
That's not right. It can't be, because then when you start negatively thinking, or most shows just dramas, things like that, you start putting yourself like, oh man,
right,
what am I doing? That's why I like watching documentaries and things like that. So it's just knowledge that you get, and it might be biased knowledge, it might be other, but then we have technology to do cross-referencing.
Exactly, and you have the time to sit there and digest it. And now, the newspaper is becoming a dinosaur.
Yeah.
Okay. I haven't watched the news on TV in over 30 years.
Yeah.
I haven't. And here's why. Because I would respect the news a lot more if they came out and they said, you know what? Nothing really happened today, so we're going to show you the Flintstones.
Yeah.
Okay? That would, to me, would be cool.
Yeah.
But instead they manufacture news. And now we live in an era where you have news that's left-wing news and right-wing news. And I'm going to pick the news that I like best because I don't like those other people, and I'm not going to sit there and I want to hear the opinions on my side.
Yeah.
And it's more opinion and more slanted. So there's less reason, in my opinion, to watch the news than ever. But I read it.
Yes.
And when I read it, it gives me time to digest it. It gives me time to sit there and think, that's plausible. That's bullshit. I agree with this. This could be. No, I don't buy that for a moment. What is this guy saying in writing this? That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Right? Compared to, okay, here's what happened today. And we live in that kind of right now where we live in a world of sound bits. Mm-hmm. Okay? And we live in a world of immediate support. Okay? Now, you can take anyone with any jackass theory of all time, and they can find a sound bit, probably within a minute to back them up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Some guy in Utah said this, which supports what I'm saying. Now, what's the plausibility of the guy in Utah? Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
But because there's a sound bit backing it up,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah,
It's
really?
like
Okay,
mine.
yeah.
So he's on my side automatically.
Right. And so the guy in Utah could be even more jackass than the original theory. And then you get that sound bit, and people will go, oh, okay, cool. I buy it now.
Yeah. That's even the soundest mind person, the wisest person. If it surrounds them enough, and everybody else is believing, it's like the thing. If you see your friends jumping off a cliff, would you jump off with them, or would you be the one to do it first? And that's the question that goes.
I respect the guy who jumps off first.
Yeah, that's like, man, what are you? Like, that's wild. He sets the example. It sets the tone for everything.
I like that guy better because he's the one who's showing the balls to make a decision and do it.
Yeah,
maybe good, maybe bad. Maybe
he wore a parachute before he jumped, though.
Maybe
that's the difference between him and the rest of them that followed.
Might be.
Yeah,
but I like that guy better than all the followers.
Yeah. Because then there's no, but then we as people, we naturally want to follow. We don't want to take responsibility. We don't want to lead. Nobody wants to do it because why? We are accustomed to being put ourselves in comfortable situations to where we don't have to do that. We don't have to be Johnny on the spot, or like when the cavemen were around. We don't have to protect ourselves from Sabretooth and warring other tribes. Right. Now it's just we say we do have to protect. There are crazy people. I don't say like there's
no doubt
people that have malice and discontent and just hatred in their hearts, and they go and do evil things. And to protect ourselves, I'm talking about to protect our livelihood, to protect our mode of thinking, to protect our relationships. Mm-hmm. And in order to do that, that's not through means of violence, through means of weaponry or any type of thing. I'm talking about through the emotions, through like love, connection, understanding. Most importantly is understanding, because if you can say something, as long as it's not hurt, like I said, as long as it's not hurting someone individual, hurting a mass group of people, or hurting yourself, you are entitled to the opinion. You are entitled to do what you want.
Right.
But just know that when those consequences come for your actions, do not hold other people responsible.
And you own it.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's the other thing that I find with people, with religions, things like that. You were saying, just whatever you believe, just don't come try to shove it down my throat. And that's not putting on blinders. That's not avoiding a problem. It's talking about the problem, but then saying, okay, here is where this is how we do it. Instead of every second, every 2 seconds, just
that mutual respect.
Yes, mutual respect. It goes back.
And you know what? If you think about it, more people in the history of the world have died from one thing: religion.
Absolutely.
Okay, this is my God. I need you to worship my God. If you can't worship my God, I'm gonna have to fucking kill you.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, and I mean the wild. Crusades, right?
Yes.
And I mean we're going back how many thousands of years where people had that mentality. Okay, we have it now in the world too, where in essence we have that lack of understanding with others.
Yes.
That lack of people saying, I don't agree. But you're entitled to worship your God, and you should. And you worship God in the way that you want.
Absolutely.
Okay? And have that mutual understanding. Every Muslim person I personally have ever met has been a lovely person.
Yeah.
There's a lot of evil Muslim people out there, but I don't think they're the majority.
No.
Okay? There's a lot of evil in all groups.
Absolutely.
And you have to be open that just because you're wearing a burqa or, whatever you're doing doesn't make you a bad person.
Automatically, absolutely.
Right. And it's accepting of others for who they are. And once someone shows their true colors and you don't agree, that's when you have to get vigilant.
Yes.
And that's when you have to not stand by idly when you're amidst evil. Absolutely. That's when you have to sit there and go, you know what? Time to take action.
Yes. I agree with that 100%.
Okay? But in the meantime, we should be accepting and open, right?
Yes.
Now, you're going to get a lot of people who would counter my point of view by saying, how do we know? We can't trust them going forward. And you're going to get a lot of that. There's a lot of people who feel that way. Just eradicate them all.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And you know what? That's God's job on who needs to be eradicated. It ain't mine.
Flooded. Dude, whatever needs to happen.
Not mine.
Yeah. The acceptance of it is just, it's propagated through our technology and stuff though too. We see it. We see hate, and then when you can't, just like food for the flower to grow. If you're getting bad, there's good shit and there's bad shit. And to say that because like they don't use any type of fecal to grow.
Right.
So
it's got to be special.
It's got to be special shit. You're not lying. The proof is in the stool, and the stool has to be sturdy enough for you to sit on. So in order to build a foundation. So what it is the bad shit, the good shit. So when you have bad shit propagating, it's just gonna be black. And I've seen this experiment. I talked about it before. There's an experiment where they did this a rice experiment. I can't remember the guy's name, but what he did is he put rice in 3 containers, and he put, for one of them, it was in water and stuff. So he said, "Good morning, you look good today." He put positive to that one. The other one, he said, "Nah, if the hell with you." He just talked bad to it. The third one, he just left it be. They were all in the same amount of light, same situation. They were airtight containers. For 30 days, he did that. And on the 30th day, the one that he always spoke nice to when he put positive things, he opened it up. A sweet-smelling aroma. It was sake, rice wine. It fermented into that. The one that he talked bad, it was black.
Wow.
It was black, and it wasn't moldy or anything. It was just black and dried out and decayed. The one that he left alone and just didn't do nothing, it had molded. It had festered, and it just molded. So without the love and the compassion, without anything, nothing happens, and it just dies. Wilson dies. With negativity, it turns black and consumes the rest of the area.
Wow. And
with love and compassion, it turned into something good.
Nice.
And then to see that, you're like, well, if fucking rice, if that's the case there, then it shouldn't be that much different from us.
Well, you would figure that rice has less capability to absorb the positivity, the negativity, or the indifference.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. And
it just takes what it's given.
It's kind of interesting if you think about it. The positivity is a beautiful thing, and we know what that is.
Yeah.
You see it, you feel it, you know it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. The negativity, we know what that is, right? But the indifference, you got something negative from indifference, okay? And when we're indifferent to people, you're going to get, it's a negative.
Yeah.
Right? In other words, the positive, you gain positive. The negative, you gain negative. The indifference, you gain negative too.
Yeah.
It's not a good thing. And we get a lot of that where we're indifferent to others. And to me, that's almost more hurtful. Like if someone looks at me and they go, "Hey, fuck off, I don't like you," I know exactly where I stand.
Exactly.
Where they're indifferent and you have those doubts and you're sitting there going, I mean, are we good here? Are we bad here? What's going on? Where do we fit together? I don't know. It's not going to be a positive inside of you.
Mm-mm.
Okay?
The uncertainty is going to eat you.
The uncertainty and the indifference is as negative as the negative. So it's kind of interesting. But as human beings, when we have interactions, the positive ones are the ones that are best. I mean...
Just like this.
Yeah.
This is uplifting. I feel, I'm pretty sure any people watching too, it's going to be, you can feel the positivity. We're talking about negative things, but we're not focusing, dwelling, propagating, encouraging. And that's the difference behind it, because we know it's there.
I mean, you could have a channel called The World's Fucked Up.
Yeah.
And you could just get people sit there and talk negative shit for an hour.
Exactly.
What's that going to do?
Nothing. No solutions. No. Right here, we're talking about solutions. We're talking about, compassion, love. If you can try to do that more.
Yes.
then there's a chance. I'm not saying this is my opinion. It's not a positive, but at the same time, I've seen real world applications through my own personal life that when I do love and compassion, even if it's not a monetary return or something physical that I can hold in my hand and be like, look what I got from doing this deed. It's the feeling that I get when I think about it. And I'm like, well, look, like I did this. And so I'm not really that fucked up of a person. I am not them. I am not they. I am not like everyone else.
Right.
I am me.
Right. Yeah.
And when I am me, people see that. And then unknowingly you become a leader.
Right.
Because when people see positive, people want to be around positive. They don't want to be around fucking negativity.
Absolutely.
They don't want to hear that they're shit because they already feel like that inside.
Right. Yep. And again, it's energy. We're walking balls of energy.
Yes.
Okay? What energy are you putting out to the universe, to the world? What energy are you putting out? Is it positive? Is it negative? Now, I heard something really good a couple months back. I'm happy every day. I might not be happy all day, but I'm happy every day. And that's because I choose to be.
Yeah.
Okay? In other words, I've chosen to have a happy mindset. Okay? And in turn, I mean, are there things that happen that get you angry and aggravated and pissed off? Of course, man. Okay, but if you have a happy mindset and a positive mindset, then you're going to have that kind of interaction with others. And really, that's what it's all about, your interactions with others. What are the things that people are gleaning from having a conversation? Could be like 30 seconds, could be 2 minutes, right?
Yeah.
I kind of have this theory, Shawn Michael. I believe that all we are is orbital paths. I'm into the science, okay?
Yeah.
And so we are interplanetary beings in our own right, okay? Your and my path have connected a bunch of times.
Yes.
And they keep connecting because it's an enjoyable connection. In other words, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And sometimes people are in your orbital path for a long time.
Yes.
Okay, I've been blessed to have friends that are in my orbital path a long time. Now, sometimes, they're living all over the country and some other parts of the world and stuff like that. We may be Pluto and I might not talk to you for a while, but that doesn't change our interplanetary connection, because when we do talk again, it's that immediate human connection. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what I believe, is that we're all on orbital paths. And our orbital paths cross with people that we're meant to cross with. If you're a negative person, if you're down in the dumps, negative people want sympathy. They want pity.
Yeah.
They want to feel bad. They're going to sit there and tell you everything's shitty in their lives. They're going to tell you about someone who said something fucked up to them earlier today. And that's going to be the whole conversation. Okay?
Yeah.
That's it. When you're orbiting with people like that, you're going to get that.
Yeah.
When you're orbiting with positive people, you're going to get ideas, concepts, talk about positive people that you met, talk about someone who did something amazing, talk about something really cool. Those are the interactions.
Just like we're doing right now.
Exactly.
Just
and that's
like we're
the
doing
beauty
right
of it all,
Yeah.
is to have those positive interactions with people in your orbital paths. We draw who we draw.
Yeah.
Okay? All right? I draw negative people sometimes too.
Yeah.
And you know what? Maybe the purpose is that I'm supposed to shoot a little ray of sunshine up their ass for a brief period of time. I don't know. Not everybody I draw is positive. I'm not going to sit there and tell you that. But we attract who we attract.
Yeah.
For a reason.
Yeah. Just like I asked you, it was a few months ago. I was like, man, I have a podcast now. I do a show. I was wondering if you'd come on and talk about it. You'd be like, yeah, with our conflicting schedules, camera guy, this and that, we couldn't do it. And all of a sudden, what happened? Hit me up. And you were like, hey, could we do it? And I was like, well, stars align. If you could come out,
nice.
We could do it.
Yeah.
And it worked out perfect.
Thank you, Brent.
Yeah, Brent's on screen still.
Yeah.
So he's just sitting there, just doing our thing. Go ahead and say, did you say what's up to him?
No, I'm unmuted.
Brent's there. Yeah.
He was there.
So, it worked out perfect. You got a chance to come on. We talked about your life. Talked about what. Just judging off of our conversation here, I know what kind of person you are, what kind of person I am compared, and how we mix and we meld.
Yeah.
And as I could see, if you'd be down, I'd be more than happy to have you on again and again in the future.
Yeah.
We keep on talking. We might even delve into some conspiracies. We won't. I like to. I don't subscribe to a lot of things, but there's things that make you think.
Oh yeah. And when you stretch that mind,
stretch the expansion,
and keep expanded. Right.
Because if you don't do that, then you just become a drone. You become monotonous. You become them. You become they.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to be them or they.
No.
And like everybody else.
Well, I'm gonna disagree with you on that.
Okay.
There's a lot of people who like to be them and they.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna disagree. It's a choice.
Yeah, it is a choice.
Okay. And again, they like to control others. Okay. The no fun police.
Yes,
the
no
NFP?
fun police. NFP.
Yeah, we know them. All right. They like to exert their power. They like to sit there and talk negatively about others.
Yeah.
And talk who's fucking up the world. They'll tell you everybody who's fucking up the world compared to what are they doing to positively fix it.
And I was at one point, I think you remember, I was like almost like that negative. I was like, there was some things out there that I saw they were doing and this. And I would say that you helped at least open my mind a little bit more to understanding to the path that I am now. And I realized that you don't have, dude, when you go in there and you're thinking that they're going to fuck you up, they're going to destroy your mentality. Yeah, people are out there that can break your spirit. Mm-hmm. It's only if you allow them to.
Exactly.
And you have to be strong enough to not let that happen. Most of us aren't strong enough or willing to even put the power into making ourselves stronger.
We do have the power. Sometimes it takes incredible fortitude to do it. Sometimes it takes incredible strength to do it. We do have the power.
Sometimes it takes time. And that's the things that we're so busy. We don't have the time to invest into it.
And that was, in essence, why I wrote a book.
Yeah.
To say to everyone, you have the power. You can do it. It's not easy. There's a roadmap. Here's what's worked for me. God forbid, I die today. It's been the most incredible life. I have zero regrets.
That's awesome.
I don't want any do-overs. I don't want to sit there and go, woulda, shoulda, could. That's bullshit. But I had to get to this point.
Yeah.
And you get to this point by feeling comfort and ease with yourself and knowing that when you had to make decisions and take action and do things that are positive in your favor, typically they work out with time.
Yes. So, man, where could people find your book if they wanted to go ahead and take a read?
Right. It's at Amazon.com.
Okay.
It's You Are the Great Creator of Your Life.
You Are the Great Creator of Your Life.
Yep.
By Stephen Barnes.
Steve Barnes. Yep, it's
Absolutely.
Steve.
Steve?
I was only Stephen when I was a child, and I did something wrong, and I knew I was getting a whooping.
Okay, there we go. So Steve, just like, so Steve Barnes, Amazon. You guys, come on, go ahead and take a look at it. Go ahead and mention that you said you were at a blog.
All right.
Let's go ahead and
writing a blog.
Yeah.
It's going to be starting in the next couple weeks.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah.
And here's the name of it.
Yeah, hit me with it.
Just another fucking white guy writing a blog.
That's funny. That's super funny, yeah.
Here's why I'm going with that. There's a lot of initial thought process of... There's a lot of blogs out there. I mean, how many?
Yeah.
My gosh, I don't know. And the initial thought process is, why should I read this guy? Why should I read this girl? Why should I do this? Why should I do that? Right?
Yeah.
And I want to be tongue-in-cheek. I want to have the same kind of dialogue like you and I are having.
Yeah.
The same kind of mindset, the same kind of conversation. Throw ideas out there. Throw opinions out there. Not saying my opinions are any more valuable than anybody reading it. But to have people willing to stretch their minds, to think of other things. Okay?
Yeah.
If nothing else, and I can help others have a better life, stretch their minds, think of different things, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. It's fulfilling.
It is.
It makes you feel better in here.
It does.
And when you feel better in here, no matter what happens out here, can't take that away.
No. If you're doing it for the right reason.
Absolutely. It's always has to be
and
for
I
the
truly
right
believe
reason.
I am.
Bless you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gesundheit.
Yeah. Salud. And then, I appreciate you coming on, man.
Oh,
It was a
man.
pleasure. It was more than a pleasure. It was
My
an honor.
pleasure.
And
it was a lot of fun. Love to do it again.
Absolutely. We'll make another day. We'll do it.
Okay.
Knock it out, and maybe we'll see. We'll probably just take it and let it flow.
Yeah.
Because I have a feeling we could sit here for hours.
I think so.
I have a feeling we could sit here for hours and talk. But
Peace and love to everybody out there.
absolutely, you guys take it easy. This has been What's the Status? Special guest star Steve Barnes. Make sure and check out his book, Amazon.com. You are the great creator of your life. Yeah, that's right. Maybe we showed it up on there, and I just wanted to make sure I got it right. I didn't want to mess it up.
That's all right.
So,
Take it easy, guys.
yeah, you guys take it easy. Have it easy. See you on the next episode.